Welcome to another Figma tutorial. In this video, we'll be using the following skills to recreate the Figma logo: using the color picker, rounding corners, and Boolean operations. If you haven't learned those, or if you just need a refresher, be sure to check out our other videos. The Figma logo is made up of 5 different shapes, each slightly different. As we try and recreate the shape, it may be difficult determining where to start. To help us, let's try to break down what each of the shapes are in the Figma F. Starting at the top left, it appears that we have a red shape that resembles a combination of a square and a circle, or maybe a square with rounded top and bottom left corners. On the right, we have the same shape, just flipped horizontally. Moving to the second row, the purple shape appears to be an exact copy of the shape above it. Great! That means we can recycle that shape. Next, we just have a blue circle. On to the last shape. If we look closely, it appears pretty similar to the other shapes on the left side of the logo, except this one has 3 rounded corners, not 2. Now that we've examined each individual shape a bit more, let's try to build them. I'll go ahead and start with the shape that's on the top left. Let's begin by drawing a rectangle that closely tries to match the dimensions of this shape. Clicking on the rectangle tool, I can click and drag until the rectangle is as large as the shape itself. I'm going to hold down the Shift key to ensure that I'm drawing the perfect square. Doing this allows us to see that the shape is a square with dimensions 40 pixels long and 40 pixels tall. If I drag the square which we just drew onto each of the other shapes, we see that they all have equal dimensions. With our square selected, we'll locate the corner radius tool in the Properties panel on the right side. Clicking the icon next to the input box allows us to individually change each corner versus applying a single value to each. Setting the corner radius to 25 appears to give us the appearance that we were hoping to achieve for the top value. With that set, let's apply the same corner radius value to the bottom left corner. Just like that, we've got our first shape created. Using the eyedropper tool in Figma will allow us to easily pull in the correct color after we've created each shape. We can open the eyedropper tool by using the keyboard shortcuts I or Command C, or by clicking Fill inside of the Properties panel and choosing the eyedropper icon towards the bottom. With our shape again selected, we can launch the tool and click on the desired color to apply it to our object. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this shape using the Command D shortcut, since we saw earlier that the adjacent shape mirrors this one. We can reflect or flip this particular shape along the horizontal axis by right-clicking on the shape layer and selecting Flip Horizontal, or use the keyboard shortcut Shift H. If you want to flip vertical, that shortcut is Shift V. Again, using the eyedropper tool, let's pull the color and apply it to this new shape. This provides us with the exact shape that we wanted. Let's move on to the second row. This is an exact copy of our first square, so let's duplicate it just as we did before. The only difference with this shape is the color. We can use the eyedropper tool to select and choose the right fill for our shape, just like we've done before, and click on the desired color to fill. The next shape, the circle, is easy. Clicking on the shape tool in the top toolbar of Figma, let's select the ellipse tool option. Just as with our other shapes, this one also has dimensions of 40 pixels by 40 pixels, so we'll simply draw a circle to match. We can hold the Shift key again to ensure that we are drawing a perfect circle. We can now launch the eyedropper tool and source the blue color found in the logo. You might be beginning to sense a pattern here. For our last shape, when we looked closely at this one earlier, we noticed that it appeared similar to the ones above it, except with 3 corners rounded instead of 2. To create this shape, we can duplicate the purple one in the second row and modify one more of the corners. With the shape selected, let's look again to the corner radius property. If we change our third option from 0 to 25 to match the other two, the radius value of the bottom right corner has changed and we now have our desired shape. To finish, let's pull Figma green using the eyedropper tool. We built each shape by rounding corners because it's the simplest method. However, if you're trying to create more complex or irregular shapes, you may want to try another method. We could have also created these shapes by combining both a square and a circle using Boolean operations. If we take our circle shape and lay it over our square, we can create a similar shape to the one we made earlier. However, now we have 2 shapes, not just one. This makes our design more complicated. We can simplify this by using the union Boolean operation. We'll always have access to our underlying shapes because Boolean operations are non-destructive. If we don't think our shape will change, we can always flatten the object from the same menu in the toolbar or by using Command E. This will result in a shape that is identical to the one we created earlier. There are advantages and disadvantages to each approach. Depending on the job, one approach may be better than the other. At first, the logo seemed intimidating to build, but breaking down the structure of each shape helped us gain the confidence we needed to recreate the logo. Let's review what we've learned today. When recreating complex shapes or objects, it can be helpful to visually break it down into its most basic elements. Use Ctrl-C or I to use the eyedropper tool. Duplicate shapes by clicking and dragging while holding Option or by using Command-D. Use Shift-H to flip horizontally and Shift-V to flip vertically. There are multiple ways to accomplish your goal, and each may have pros and cons. Try experimenting to see which approach is best.